Welcome to this short course on Reckon APS Practice Management Year End Matter Rollover. My name is Tanya and I will take you through the following items in this course today. At the end of this session, you'll be able to understand the standard matter rollover options, understand the rollover process including the impact on document management and workflow, create New Year-based standard matters, and perform the rollover function. Features in the matter rollover include the opportunity to update workflow templates, milestones for the new year matters, create new year matters based on the prior year matters, the ability to roll matters individually or in batches using the multiple selection tool, and create new year matters to ensure you can complete your tax return rollover. If your practice is using workflow, then the bulk rollover process may impact existing workflow outcomes. We suggest you consult your internal workflow champions to ensure the team understands the impact of creating new matters that will have on your workflow solution. If you are unsure, then we suggest you look and book some time with the Reckon consultant to discuss this matter further. Typically, matters that are rolled over, the target dates of the milestones will impact your target due year, and the job status. Typically, these would be not started. If your practice uses the Reckon APS document management system, which creates folders for the matter and client level, then the matter rollover process will create subfolders in your directory structure if you have this option selected. If your practice is using Virtual Cabinet, the individual or bulk matter rollover process may add matters to your client cabinet. It is imperative that you consult your internal champions before completing your matter rollover to ensure you understand the impact on the whole practice. This is also true for iManage users. There are 4 basic steps for completing a matter rollover. The first step we recommend is that you have a current backup of your Reckon APS database. You may need support from your internal IT or external IT administrator to ensure this step is completed. It is important to note, matters can only be deleted individually. If you complete the bulk matter rollover or general matter rollover in error, you will need to seek support from Reckon as a chargeable exercise. In your standard matter console, review your existing matters to determine which matters require a new year. In our example, we're going to add the 2017 annual compliance matter. So we're going to select the Add on the ribbon and complete this. We populated the description and then we assign the entity to this standard matter. Select Add once completed. The new standard matter exists and we're now ready to put in our standard matter details. To focus on that area, I've just changed my view. I'll go through each one of these items so that it's clear and more information is available in your workbook. The ID is a system generated ID. The description is a good idea to use the same naming convention as your prior year. The code field is just simply a free text field. It doesn't have to be entered. Some practices use it for a shortened department or service line and use that in special reporting. The year field is important for a standard matter to be able to roll from one year to the next. We need to know what year it belongs to. It's also used in your tax product if you're using tax. Tax forms are associated to a matter of the same year. Further on tax, if you're an Australian tax site and you want to associate the tax forms to this matter, you would need to select the first option. If you're a New Zealand tax site, you would use the second option. And if you don't want to associate any form on there, you would delete the instance. In my example, I'm going to use the Australian tax integration. The rollover type will determine how the rollover will occur. For all Australian sites, rollover is generic, which is the first option. For New Zealand, you have the choice. If it's not tax, it's generic. If it is your New Zealand tax, then you select the New Zealand tax option, which is this one here. If you get these wrong, you can simply change the type. So for Australia, it's the first options, and New Zealand, you have the choice. The rollover method, the milestones that are attached from one year to the next, can be determined by using either no milestones, roll prior year milestones. If this option is selected, you do have the option to use the budgeted hours and amounts to be based on the previous actual values or budget values, and you also have the option to increase the dollar figure associated with those milestones. If you choose the other option, which is standard matter template, then you must determine what is that standard matter template. This gives you the opportunity to review your annual compliance template in this instance and adjust the milestones. If in 2016 you had 10 milestones and in 2017 you reviewed your workflow process and reduced that to 5 key milestones, then you might want to use this method so that you can refresh and update all the new year matters with simply the 5 milestones. If you're using this method, you cannot use these options. They will not work because there is no prior year hours and budgets to bring down. In our example today, we're going to use the prior year milestones, and we are going to use those based on the previous budget value, and we'll do an increase of 10%. Target dates are the target dates associated with the milestones. So if you're using target dates for workflow, you have the following choices. You can either pre-fill that with nothing, you can pre-fill it with last year's actual date plus 12 months, or the previous target date plus 12 months. Again, this is why we suggest you look at your previous year's standard matter to determine what was done in the past to review that might be the way forward. The year determines which prior year we get to choose for the roll from matter. Date close is a field available for you to close any prior year matters so that it's not available for users to add for new clients. If you want to roll your matters and determine the type of allow timesheets and disbursement values in bulk, you can choose the previous matter value, yes or no. If you're using workflow, you may have already closed the matter that you're ready to roll, so in this case you would select it to yes. If you're using matters just for tax returns, you may default this to no, or use your previous value. Likewise with disbursements. Service lines, if you're using this in your practice, you have the opportunity to add this here. If you're using CRM, you can determine if this is an opportunity for business development purposes, and we have our entity assigned. This completes your standard matter setup. You would then complete this for all the matters that you need to add for the next year. It's also an idea for you to review the matters and the milestones with the relevant team champions. Let's now look at the performing the matter rollover. It's a system administration function and does not need to be performed on each PC. Please make a backup of the database before running this routine. This way your existing data will be protected, just in case you need to restore the backup after selecting incorrect options and wishing to perform the rollover again. All users other than the system administrator should be logged out before the backup routine is run and should not be allowed back in the software until the rollover process is complete. Some practices prefer to do this after hours in order to minimise downtime for their staff. There are two methods in which matter rollover can be performed. Roll this matter, which is an individual option that is done at the end of the job. The practice may decide to roll the matter ready for workflow purposes for next year as the jobs have been completed. This allows for the budget decisions to be made on an individual basis rather than a generic one. General matter rollover is when matters are rolled over at a given point in time based on specific selection criteria to allow for the creation of the new year matters. This will assist those sites that perform tax return rollover in bulk and allowing them to track tax due dates. General decisions are made on the rollover method. It is also useful for workflow sites that do rollovers on a monthly basis based on the previous month's completed jobs. Let's take a look at our first method, roll this matter. Within the central console, we have searched for the client that we would wish to roll the matter. And in the bottom right hand side, I have my matters here. I have a 2016 annual compliance matter that I'm going to roll to 2017. So I can see more information about the matter, I'm going to choose to go into the matter console. I can now see for the 2016 matter that it was actually completed. I have some target dates that were starting in July going through to September. However, the job actually didn't start till February and was finished at the end of February. So on an individual role basis, I can choose whether to use the target dates or the actual dates. I also have budgeted hours and amounts on this job, and I have responsibilities assigned. So let's have a look at our standard role options by right-clicking and clicking Roll This Matter. The Advanced Matter Rollover form will now show. I can see the rollover from and the rollover to matter has been selected. I also have the opportunity to put a description for this individual matter. If we look at our standard options were to roll from the prior year milestones, use the target dates, use the budget values and add 10%. We'll select Next so we can see what our standard rollover option will show. Once finished, select Refresh and review your output. You'll see here our description will have the word standard on there so we can test and have a look at this option. I can see here that our target dates for the milestones has been moved forward 1 year. I can see our budget hours have remained at 2.7 hours and our budgeted amount of the dollars has increased by 10%. Our rollover from our responsibilities has not rolled from 1 year to the next. If we were uncertain whether we had checked that box, we can simply delete the matter and redo the rollover. So using Roll This option allows you to double check what you'd set up in your standard matter details. If you want to change those options, you can go and adjust that in your standard matter details. As you can see here, the role responsibility was set to no. So I have the option here to change it individually just for this particular rollover. And if I'm happy with that result once I've finished, I would go and change my standard matters details to reflect this change. And again, we can refresh. I can now see with that rolling option that the graduate 2 has come in the matter responsibility and the other responsibilities have been pre-filled. So it's an excellent way to test your standard matter rollovers before doing your general matter rollover. And you can also delete the matter individually if you've made a mistake. This option is used if you're using for workflow for a single matter rollover, or as we've done here to test our general matter rollover process. Let's go and have a look at the general matter rollover. This is where we can complete the rollover in bulk based on selection criteria. In the matter rollover options, we get to choose what is the standard matter that we're choosing to roll. And in this case, we're choosing the 2016 annual compliance matter. I can review the options and I can see I have 62 matters that comply to that particular purpose from the 2016 year. I can use the edit mode if I need to adjust that and hadn't changed my standard matter rollover options. Once you've selected what you would like to update, you simply press Next. You're now presented with your selection criteria. We always recommend that anything saved from year to year, that you save the list. An example of this might be to exclude terminated clients, and that's use the client details, termination date, date not set. And that is simply found if you've not used that before by going down to the tree, client details, and working your way down to termination date, and then changing to date not set. You may have other criteria. You might be wanting to do rolling matters by a particular partner that needs to be done at a certain point in time. You might do a smaller test first to make sure that that is correct. You might do rollovers by department. So they can all be added by using this filter option. Once you select your filters, you can use your save as so that it can be reused. You can also save those in public and private lists. Select Next. You'll then be presented with the list of qualifying matters to roll. In this case, we'll have all the matters that don't exist at the top, and at the bottom of your list you'll have the matters that already exist. So in this case, ABC Company already has a 2017 annual compliance. It will not add the same standard matter twice. Select Finish. As this process may take some time, you might reduce your number of batches. If you have thousands of entries in here, this could take a number of minutes. It is also an opportunity for you to review the list, and you can deselect items as required. If you're using Advanced Document Management, you'll notice that the Manage folder will be set and the folders will be created in the relevant directories. Once that is completed, it has been successfully rolled. You may refresh your screen and you'll see now that Xavier Ivan Person has a 2017 matter, and in this case it was rolled with the responsibility and 5% was adjusted. You then repeat the process for the next standard matter and the next standard matter selection criteria. This may take a number of goes to complete all of your practice requirements. So let's just go back and review what we did for the standard matter rollover. 1. We performed a database backup. 2. We created the new year's standard matters. 3. We performed the matter rollover on an individual matter to test the outcome. And then 4. We performed the general matter rollover based on selection criteria to roll your matters in bulk. Our learning outcomes. Standard matters. The details of the rollover options are contained in here. You need to create New Year standard matters in order to complete the matter rollover. Matter rollover impacts your workflow and document management solutions. Speaking to your internal champions to ensure the impact of the new matters is understood. We've learnt that there is no undo process for general matter rollover, therefore it's important to do your backups. Test your general matter rollover options firstly by completing your individual matter roll, and for practices using tax, you'll need to have a new year standard matter in order to complete your tax return rollover. On behalf of the Reckon Training Academy, we thank you for your time. If you need further help, please contact us on the information on your screen. Thank you.